Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of Epic 7. This is a podcast with xSkyKing. This podcast was done on March 19th, 2020, but if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, that date doesn't matter. But we're just talking about the most recent update patches, our thoughts on it, and our opinions. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And again, thanks to xSkyKing. I left his info in the video description for inviting me, so definitely check him out if you don't know who he is, but pretty sure you know who he is. All right, enjoy this.
What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me on the 9th podcast. Today we have Arch from Level Up Together, Tiber again, and Jagan X, and we'll let them introduce themselves. And let's start with Tiber, Jagan, and then Arch. So take it away, Tiber.
Right. Hey guys, I'm Tiber. I'm an officer in Life, the Season 1 Rank 1 guild, global server. And I do World Boss because that's just fun.
World Boss competitively.
World Boss competitively, yeah, for some reason. But yeah.
Jagan?
All right, guys, I'm Jagan here. I have a YouTube channel. Some of you guys may know me. I'll probably soon be known for the only content creator not to have aux slots. And so therefore, all of my offensive comps take like 20 minutes. Yeah, I'll probably be known for that, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much me. That's pretty much me. Yeah.
And Arch.
Nice. I'm Archadin of Level Up Together. We stream on Twitch. It's me and my wife that stream. Let's see. We just started a YouTube channel. Videos more to come, but we put our first one out like a couple days ago, which was pretty exciting. So, woo! Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I'm sure it's gonna get hated on all over the place. It's fine, guys. Well, I welcome it. I need the constructive criticism. But yeah, we're a much more casual guild, I would say. But we reached top 100 this last time, which was actually pretty neat considering we've been extremely casual up to this point. So We're getting there. We're moving up.
That's right.
Nice.
And last is xSkyKing me here. You guys probably know me. If you don't, I'm the person that decides to destroy people's accounts when I summon for them. Yeah. Anyways, so moving on, let's just get started into our first topic. I don't know how many of you guys have tried it yet, or how many of you guys have seen it yet, but let's talk about the new thoughts on the new Hell raids. And what's your thoughts on maybe, let's say, the gear and the difficulty of it if you have tried Hell raid already? So I don't know how many of you guys have actually tried it yet.
So I did my 2 runs earlier this morning.
Yeah.
I think they were pretty nice. Pretty standard Hell raid teams. Issaria, Tama, DPS, Aureus tends to work really well for people who have those units and are able to do that. The mechanics haven't changed that much between the two, between normal raid and the Hell version.
Which 2 bosses did you do?
So the ones that I did today were Vera and Queen, like most people, because we really wanted the helm and the necklace. They're probably more viable than Brute, I would say. For me personally, like it's more about heavy bursts, like killing the ads really quickly, the eggs rather, for Vera, which is the bottom left. And for Queen, it should be the exact same mechanic as normal raid. So I think it was a good medium difficulty. You're not going to auto it, but it's doable for most people, and the rewards are great. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. I myself haven't done it yet. I've been so busy today, but I definitely will attempt to do it probably tonight or tomorrow. But in terms of just like, I think the overall changes, I'm more impressed with that. The fact that we can get T88 gear pretty much every time is just amazing to me. But it really does show that we are in the next. I think the next like level in terms of like power creep, we're gonna expect many more heroes to be built with 4 to 5 pieces of 88 gear, minus the ones that are always on speed set, of course. But I think there's gonna be a lot more builds now with 88 gear, so I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I still haven't got a chance to do it myself. I'm excited. From what I've heard from a lot of people that have done it so far, I've heard similar things to what Tiber's saying, like almost the exact same things where it's not apparently, I mean, and I think chat could probably fill in on this for who's done it as well, but I'm assuming that it's actually not that much harder. It's just like you said, just not autoable. I was curious because I know you've now said like a little bit about like having the 88 pieces. How many of you guys were getting 4 pieces of 88 gear about per month anyways on the 2 bosses that we were doing before? Like, how do you think that changes? I think is my question is like, I think we'll get more diversity of gear because now we're guaranteed a piece from each individual boss. But do you think that you're going to get less overall 88 pieces, not including the first month? Because I know the first month we're getting double 88s on every boss, right?
A single, I think.
Apparently the first clear reward takes precedent, so you're guaranteed the first time clear reward one. But
but just this one.
Yeah, you just get that one.
Oh, you just get that one this first time through?
Yeah.
Apparently so. That's what I heard from.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
actually news to me because the way I had read it was just like that was a guarantee, and then you were guaranteed an 88 piece that could roll random substats. That's kind of what I thought I had read, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I had the same thought until Chad told me to.
Huh.
But Arch brings up a great point regarding that, like, sort of variety, diversity. The fact that the options for these hell drops for 88 gear, in terms of completing sets, I think that's a very powerful thing as well. So, for example, now there's a tier 88 counter helmet, there's a tier 88 defense boot, so you can sort of complete the sets as opposed to farming golem or relying on the ring, which nobody gets anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
True. Except for me, I've got like 5, but yeah, everybody else doesn't. It's weird.
Yeah. I have not gotten a good hell dropping in a year, at least.
I think overall the changes though, like, I think I agree with Ark about the fact that, oh, okay. One thing is, some of us might have gotten some 88 gears here and there, but overall I know there are people who get decently unlucky and they don't get a piece.
Yep.
For the whole week they just didn't get a piece. So at least
for a whole month.
This levels out a lot of the playing field in that sense, where everyone, if you can complete it, at least there isn't as much RNG there. You're gonna get a piece there. So it's just kind of like there's still RNG in regards to what substats, which piece, and whatnot, but it levels it out a little bit better that way. So I do like that change quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's for, you're talking like overall community, right? So basically you're saying for the people that get lucky and sometimes pull like 6 pieces in a month and maybe even only 1 or 2 of them is good, they're still getting 6 pieces, as opposed to now everybody's capped at 4, basically making raid tier a must do for everybody because it basically like caps everybody out at that same spot. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Pretty much, I feel like, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
kinda
I
like
think
where,
that makes sense.
yeah.
It's honestly like right now one of the best places to get gear, just because the fact that it's guaranteed and it's an 88. So like even like when we're doing like even crafting, even conversion and hunts, of course, the RNG is so large. Like there's so many levels of RNG minus the conversion now, but that in the hell raids you're guaranteed specific sets, and to my knowledge there's specific stats too. It's just like the immunity boot will always be HP. So like really you're only having like 1 layer of RNG left, which is the substats itself. And if you get like a couple good ones, I mean 88 were really high. So it's actually a very, very huge deal in terms of like the next level of power in the game.
Yeah. So as long as you're consistently doing hell raids, you're going to start upgrading each piece of gear eventually.
Yeah.
Especially with all the new sets now available. Obviously, I mean, when I was looking through it, like, at least from each boss, there's 1 piece that I probably would use. Obviously, some of them are not nearly as good. I wouldn't make use of compared to others, but it's like an upgrade to each piece now.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the quality of life for the hell raids too, I think that the UI that allows you to teleport straight to the boss in subsequent months, I think that's phenomenal. Because like for some people who are like maybe more towards the end game but are really busy, they wouldn't want to have to do boss after boss and like travel. They can just, if you're pressed for time, go in with 1 team, do all 5 bosses, and then you're done for the month. I think that's really cool.
You can't do all 5 bosses, right? Like I think it's 1 pass per boss, I think.
That would be unfortunate.
No, it's 1 pass per boss. But so the way we're talking about it is,
Can you travel after?
if you, let's say you finish a boss or whatnot,
Yes, you can travel after.
you can travel to the portal afterwards to complete more mini bosses and stuff. And then,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I think if anything,
Well, I
it's
mean,
more
that
like
makes it
since
easy
it's a
to
month,
clear.
technically instead of rushing like, oh, I forgot to do my hell raids this week, it's like, at the end of the month, if you really want, you can go blow through all 5 now instead.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you,
Once you save up tokens.
out of curiosity, what do you guys think about the 3 labyrinth token exchange? Like, does that basically also throughout your week, also for the busy people? Like, I was thinking, like, as a busy person, doesn't it help now to also be able to be like, hey, I don't need all of these throughout my week. This happens to be the day that I know that I've got like 3 days in a row that I'm not going to be able to touch anything. That's my day that I buy my malicious bug charm
that's
or whatever.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's actually true. I didn't think about that.
That's another good point.
That's pretty useful, yeah. Like if
Like,
you're working or
yeah.
something, well, and
Or
you just don't have
traveling.
time to go
Yeah.
through Labyrinth itself, you're gonna be busy, yeah. You buy the Hellraid token from that, and then
Right.
you don't need to worry about leaving one token and use the Labyrinth token.
Yeah, that happens to me like every week right now because you just go through it and you end up sitting on 3 for a while. So having some use for them is super nice. Like,
Yeah,
I really
that's
like
nice.
it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I didn't think about that because for me, it's usually like, oh yeah, I need to use one kind of thing. But for people who are working full time, that's definitely a godsend to some people there.
One more purify in the game, am I right, boys?
Yeah, that's another guide.
Basically a purify.
Oh.
Basically.
All right. So, anything else you guys want to add on for the hell raids and stuff like that? Anything you want to go over specifically?
Maybe the
Pretty
gear
simple.
itself. Like
Oh, like the first time clear ones, or like
first time
the.
clears. Yeah, like what? Like I don't know.
I feel like
think-
the first time clears are always kind of like I've seen some great ones. I've seen. We're looking at some earlier. I don't mean to call anyone out, but there's one guy showed me his ring, and it literally did not hit crit chance or crit damage at all. It was like 29% health, 13% effectiveness or something. I felt so bad for him. I,
hate to see it.
it's just like when that happens, like, dang, like it sucks. But I don't know. Like the first time if you get lucky, great. But I don't know if I rely on those. I guess. Yeah. I guess maybe let's move on to the second topic then.
Sure.
All right. So, second topic, which some people can probably give a little bit more input on. We'll see. But thoughts on ML Charlotte, from what you guys have seen, what you guys have read. Yeah.
Warball, so I got up really early this morning to be a real gamer, and I was playing some Destiny 2 with Platypie this morning, and Warball hopped in and was talking about his exploration and just fun times he's had with Charlotte so far, since he does have. And I thought the most interesting thing that he had talked about, and I'm sure there's videos up of this, and I just want to give him immediate credit because he was the one that told me. But A11 one-shot comps, are they like now a thing due to ML Charlotte?
You could always A11 one shot in the past. I don't know if ML Charlotte makes it easier because I'm not sure if I haven't seen anything about that yet, to be honest.
I think it'll make it a lot more consistent because it's a big source of damage, and she'll, finish it off if you, if anything else dies. But for A11, the sheer HP is much higher than, say, Banshee, for example.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the teams that I would use, that I always used, was Vivian, Shadow Rose, DDK, and Yufine. Soul also works, weirdly enough, if you have Beijing Joker. Because if you fail to kill, he'll still counter with the armor break. So you only have that 15% that causes you to fail.
I wonder
think
if people are using her for A11. Sorry, but I wonder if people are talking about her doing A11 one shots because of her skill 3 doing extra damage to dark units, which makes
Right.
her. I don't know how much more damage she'll do compared to like those other units for A11 then.
Well, and will it matter? Because are you going to build her just like straight damage either? Like, that's the other question.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to do
Yeah.
that? I don't know.
Can she A11 one shot as a bruiser? I wonder now,
I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah.
because
I wouldn't think so, but I was just curious. And then I was just wondering, like, do people just for the sake of, I mean, listen, some people can just afford to do whatever they want, okay? So maybe they do have 2 Charlottes, and one of them is just built to just damage like crazy. I mean, it's possible,
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't put it past some people. Yeah.
right? It's possible.
Did you summon? Well, you got ML Charlotte, right, Tiber? But you
Yes.
haven't built her up yet.
I'm building her now. It's a slow process. I have a lot of guildmates that have, well, almost everyone has Emerald Charlotte by now. But
Wait a minute, I'm right here,
only-
dude.
in the guild, only some of them have built it, and from what we've been Discord streaming, we're really intrigued, especially in RTA. Like she is absolutely insane. She's got a very bloated kit.
The passive, I feel like, is just there's just so much in there. I feel like.
Oh yeah. This is like they've got a Durandal effect. They have adamant effects. She's got lifesteal. She's got defense ignore. She's got self immunity. She's got increased damage. It's soul burn extra turn. Like,
She's got combat readiness push.
yeah, oh yeah.
Offensive Crimson Armin on steroids.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. Do I think she needs a nerf per se? Personally, no. I'm very interested in how she'll impact Guild Wars. I think she's a mainstay in RTA, 100%.
Yeah.
But we've been tossing ideas on the Guild War defense, and I personally have yet to find one that satisfies me. But we'll see.
Okay. I think one of the things is talking to other people about this. I don't know if she'll need a nerf either, because she's not exactly easy to gear to make her really good, I feel like. At least right now, I feel like I want her on at least an immunity set, depending on how I build her, because I don't want her to be CC down, locked down right away in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that, she doesn't have any crit chance awakenings. She doesn't have a crit chance imprint, self-imprint either. So to get her enough crit is also very difficult for a lot of people then. So then, I don't know how many people can actually make a really, really strong ML Charlotte, even though she has a bloated kit. So I'm curious about that. I mean, until people test her out more, we'll see. Maybe people don't care about immunity. You run something else to protect her, like a DJ Bassar. Then you just go speed crit, and you get enough crit probably that way. But I'm not sure about that yet.
Yeah, personally, I think she needs to be on immunity, especially in RTA. You just don't know who's gonna be faster than you, who's gonna do a Lilius S2 provoke or something like that.
Yeah.
But for sure, I have to agree. I did an account review this morning with someone who already built the ML Charlotte, and he had the ML Charlotte on the Alencia's artifact, the Wrath.
Yes.
And I think it is a pretty good one. Seeing that like Tiber said, she has built into Randall, she has proof of valor for herself pretty much, all that kind of stuff. So it feels like she could use that artifact and to pump up more crit damage, attack, defense, and health and speed. But yeah, 100%. I think people who are going to be building her have to definitely be forming the teams they want to bring her in mind, in order to find the build they want. And so it's not like it's kind of like ML Ken. I mean, ML Ken really is a straightforward build technically, but people build him vastly different too. Higher attack, some are just tankier. It just depends on who that player is gonna bring that character into, I think.
So very team comp situational, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
I
going
agree
on
with
that Alencia artifact too, Alencia Nox's Wrath or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
It also makes a lot of sense, because if you're playing in the long game, right? Her ability as a bruiser in the late game, once rage starts popping up, as you get towards late game RTA, I think the synergy there is phenomenal.
Right.
But yeah, I'm very excited. She's also got some of the best S3 animations in this game. Personally,
I agree. I quite like the S3 animation. It just you guys are talking about the Alencia's artifact. I realized last night when I was looking for it, I actually never summoned one when I was pulling for Alencia.
Really?
So I'm just
That's
I guess I'm stuck with Durandals.
I mean, it's giving me some drink vibes here, Gabe.
It ain't limited, bro. All right.
I mean, good luck, Godspeed. Now, for me, I still think Tonfa or Portrait, if you have it, but you can't use that on RTA, for more securable damage. For me personally, as a player, you won't see me use things like Charles, etc., because my playstyle caters around single target damage. or I want to make it a 4v3 or make it a 3v2 as fast as possible. That's how I tend to play. That comes from a Guild War background, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with ML Charlotte. In becoming Guild Wars.
Okay. Someone mentioned Hellcutter for ML Charlotte. So, I guess I could see. I guess maybe if you don't have Alencia's artifact, Hellcutter could be a viable kind of replacement there, but then not nearly as good since each time you go, you have to restack it kind of thing. So it depends where your crit chance is. Probably a little bit less of a. You have to compensate a little bit more still with the crit chance. You can't be as low as when you're running Nox.
Yeah, the other thing about Hellcutter is to keep in mind that she has, like, if someone crits her, she has her own CR boost, so she might get turned quick, too quick for Hellcutter to really stack.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like around 150, 160 speed. Someone early on, and I've never tried this myself, but I do want to try it. Elle's Fist seems to be pretty good too. Just increase that speed as her HP is going down, and plus the fact that she has that 30% damage mitigation, and you know that increases the power too. That might really actually benefit her. I actually find warriors on Elle's Fist are very unpredictable because you know you can't guess the next turn that if you're gonna get a turn, because Elle's Fist's speed buff might be able to overtake you. So it's kind of interesting.
That's true. I guess Elle's Fist is also viable there, depending on what artifacts you have there available to you. Okay, I guess that's another viable one too. Okay. One other thing is defense-wise. Do you guys feel like she'll be an impact on like Guild Wars defense, arena defense? Are people gonna run her for that? Because, so to put in this perspective-wise, I find her similar to someone like Emil Ravi, maybe a little bit similar like that. But we don't really see Emil Ravi on defense. But I can't really compare this to Charles because Charles has Elbrus and stuff like that. So the closest one I can compare to, I would say, is Emil Ravi. Do you think she's gonna be different from that in this case? Because her turn rotates a lot faster, a lot different in that sense.
For Guild Wars, like we theorycraft defense a lot, and I think her biggest flaw is just innately the AI in Epic 7 compared to other turn-based gachas is just absolutely terrible. So single target DPS suffers. For me, like, you get this situation where she'll nuke hard and kill something if she has a lot of supportive units like attack buff.
Yeah.
But then she'll just get one shot with them Watcher Shuri and then they'll auto you, right? Or you'll get baited and then like you'll make her on a squishy build and then you'll just get cleaved. The list goes on and on. So I think she certainly has a few pairings that may work better than others, which I'm not going to share quite yet.
Fair enough.
But moving, I mean, hey, season 2 is starting soon. But
True.
like, I don't know. My personal verdict for me is that I don't like her on defense at all.
Okay.
I definitely think she'll work, and I definitely do think people will try to use her. But any defense is beatable if they really want to beat you, just because of the way the AI works. So I think it's better to rely on the RNG units like Bizarre Charles, if that's a possibility for you.
Okay, fair points. Arc, Jagan.
Honestly, where we're at, probably like in the 100-ish range, we'll probably be able to get away with using ML Charlotte would be my guess, just because a lot of the stuff that we run into is more like gear based. So as long as you have a decently geared one that has counter and there's a couple of other counter things with, like, they're going to get enough RNG chance to be able to knock you down. But I agree with what you're saying. Like I'm all for putting more, like, cut the RNG to the least possible like degree that you can. Anything you can do to cut out that RNG piece is going to be huge. And you're right in saying that I don't know that you actually get that on defense with ML Charlotte. So yeah, I tend to agree with what Tiber's saying. Like,
okay,
we could probably get away with it, like I said, but Why?
I guess that's also another thing is like coming like depending on where you're at. Obviously, in this case, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but higher rank guilds, like where Tiber's at, Jagan, most people have most characters, Jagan Oxlots. But
hey, whoa.
Hold on, you still don't have Oxlots after today?
Still don't know. No, sadly.
F's in chat.
But
Wait,
it's
how's
like,
that possible?
yeah, I'm actually honestly, you should talk to Minifrap because she got like what 4 of them last night, I think.
No, don't even. I did a review of someone right before this podcast for my brother. He already has Oxlots.
Oh,
I
no.
pulled like half the amount of mystics, and I got him 2 Oxlots. And I'm like frustrated on the inside, and I'm still clicking the summon button, and it's all tears on the inside. But anyways, my thoughts on ML Charlotte as well. I think that my thoughts on her being used in defense, I think about her kit. In terms of like if you were gonna bring like let's say an FCC, although F Cecilia brings a lot more to the table in terms of a defense, the barrier, the skill null. But most people run an adamant shield with her, or some kind of Aureus. So my thought before was like, if ML Charlotte were to be on a defense team, she may be able to replace the slot of ML Cecilia. Of course, you do have to consider like, you know, are you gonna be a fort player? Are you gonna be a tower player? I would say running her in a tower position, not in a fort position, is probably better. So people, you know, you could potentially bait cleaves, and if she could take out the Oxlots, I mean, doesn't even matter how much attack she has, I'm pretty sure she can one-shot Oxlots.
Yeah.
So I think in some scenarios she can work. So I think the way if I were to run her on defense, I would force them to try to, you know, take the bait in terms of cleave. And like make it more difficult for them to sustain as a bruising team. But like Tiber says, like in higher rank guilds, there's no problem with that. You just run like a Ravi, healer, Crow, and you can pretty much kill everything. Dark Corvus, of course, can be slotted in there too. So yeah.
Yeah, and I doubt she can one shot a well-built Dark Corvus A Ravi unless you're giving her like an attack buff, and with the AI how AI works,
Yeah.
probably not very possible there.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, since again you guys are in like significantly higher end guilds, where with the passive of Charlotte, what are you thinking like that it would be possible to like bait out cleave with? I mean, like that seems like such a weird team to cleave anyways, if that S2 ends up being as powerful as it is, or is it still just like, yeah, actually we can just roll over it, it's not that crazy?
I feel like so at least I feel like with people, once they're, well, from what I knew back then, they're tryharding, very people cleave because there's a certain amount of RNG there that can cause you to lose. So maybe not at like not with the top 10 guilds, I would say. Top 10 guilds, most people probably don't cleave, but maybe let's say top 20, some top 30 guilds, some of us still like to cleave when you're lazy or you want to get things done quickly. Or maybe you feel like, oh, I'm strong enough, let's do it.
He's not talking about any of you in chat. Not one.
Generally when I see a defense team with insanely high damage, especially I know that their speed is roughly stacked. Let's say like a Yufine on a defense, a Kayron on a defense. It's really risky to even run a tanky team. One of my defense teams, and you know, I run a Kayron and a Yufine on the same team. And you know, I'm not gonna name names, but my defense has killed some top players, bringing in the tankiest teams. At that point, it's a gear check. It's really your defensive gear versus their offensive gear, and that's what I mean by like ML Charlotte could potentially work, because in that situation, like a Kayron Yufine situation, a cleave may be the way to go. Like not even just talking about lazy, I'm talking about like strategically probably the best way to go. That's actually less risky because you're fighting squishy heroes. So I think it depends. But generally, if you see a ML Charlotte, potentially you won't be cleaving because of the damage mitigation. But I still think that there are some teams that you potentially could bait that cleave.
100%. And like coming from my experience, the reason to like expound upon it. The reason why we typically don't like cleaving is because it gives you one win condition, similar to Tamasaria landing the S3 from Assyria or Falcon McClure.
Right.
As strong as they may be, if that one thing fails and you don't have room as a backup for something to happen, then you lose. It's adding this level of risk that a lot of us don't really like. For those that don't know, I'm the data guy. So for 2019, I logged every member's offense attacks for a year, and
Nice.
like we've got like 400 plus attacks for all of us that are still here, and the most consistent offense rates are those that play really slow. Play really slow. They play really safe. But
Right.
to like talk about a few of the theory crafted defenses that we had tried to come up with. For example, giving attack buff to ML Charlotte. Let's say you were to run a Maid Chloe, ML Charlotte, and then something that does not provide some form of sustain or threat. I'll bring Oxlot's Water Shuri Ruel. I'll snipe the Maid Chloe. Charlotte will snipe my Oxlots. But then I'm just going to revive my Oxlots. And a fast Ruel will outcycle because of Oxlots S2 until I have my Water Shuri skill again. So you need to pair her with a very strong threat, like Spectre Tenebria. And by that point, we get into really niche comps and really pay-to-win ML5 shenanigans that I don't really like as a direction of the game, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really like that on defense, stuff like
Fair
that.
point. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we can go over this again when people have tested ML Charlotte more, and then we'll take a look then once everyone's summoned, built her, whatnot, and then we'll see how that has impacted the game itself. All right. So third topic shouldn't be too long because it's still a practice, but Hall of Trials. What are your thoughts on the update regarding this? Do you like it? You don't like it? What are your thoughts? I see thumbs up.
absolutely love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Santa
not?
Muerte. Santa Muerte in the shop. Thank God. That is the only artifact I missed.
You want it? You want it?
I was on vacation and it is an empty spot in the Pokedex. I am very thankful. It's a smile.
And
game. Thank you.
Ambrote and Isla's and all the things that we haven't even seen yet too. That's kind of exciting. They added a whole bunch of stuff.
I guess for the
it's-
people that missed that, right? Yeah.
Well, because
Yeah.
Ambrote's never been in global, right?
It has.
no,
It has.
No,
It
it
has,
was
it
early.
has.
It was very early.
Very early.
think-
Yep.
It was very early. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was before me then, for sure.
Maybe.
Oh, dude. What do you got? Okay, for all of you that are doing the competitive versions of this, one way or another, just to give my opinion, I'm a fan. Like, giving us more gold, does it close the gold gap of what we need? Not even close. But does it give us something? Yeah, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm gonna take some extra gold every single week. That's a win. Having a artifact that you can buy 6 times again to increase is it your whole team or just that one character you put it on by 30%? I don't know if
it's
you
just
guys
the one character. It looks
is
like.
it just the one character? Okay.
That's what it looked like.
I mean, it's just, I think it's going to become moderately competitive to some degree. There's obviously, I would say, check the tier list. There's some very legitimate gaps of how much gold you get between each tier. Some of them are only 200,000 and some of them are 500,000. Maybe make the leap for the 500,000 just to get the extra. Like, there are actual, I don't know why they did it so weirdly, but they did if you look at their like list and stuff.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think it'll be cool to see if anybody actually puts in the time. But I think the people that do put in the time are probably already in the need, let's be honest, of more gold than almost anyone else in the entire community, because you already have a ton of gear.
Yeah.
Your need for more gold to be able to actually increase that tiny little bit is significant, and to do that requires way more gold than the average player. So let's give them a little extra gold. I don't know, I like it. I think it's good across the board, really.
Okay. Yeah.
I have one thought. After I purchased some of that mischief artifact, the Hall of Trials one,
Yeah.
and Tiber, you're the numbers guy, so it would be interesting. Is it better to keep? Let's say if you bring 2 DPS usually, 2 DPS. Is it better to keep 2 copies of it and then get it to like I think the mid, if you like limit break it to like the +3 on each, it's like 20 or so. Like, is it better to have 2 DPS on like 20+% more damage, or one character get 30%? I think it's better to keep 2, but I don't know yet. I haven't tried it.
I mean, I would personally keep 2. That's what some of us did with Proof of Valor anyway, because a lot of us are lazy and don't want to switch around artifacts. So we keep 1 at +27 and 1 at +15, just so we have to. I think that's a good idea, 100%. I don't know the exact numbers, and we don't know like how the balancing will work, what the best comp to use is.
Right.
Do you need 2 DPS? Are you going to bring 3 DPS? We don't know. Is that sustainable? So we'll have to wait and see. But at least earlier on, I see no reason why keeping 2 would hurt you.
Right.
Because worst case scenario, you just feed one into the other.
Right.
But yeah, no, like, and to like talk about my thoughts on it, I think it's nothing but a positive. I can't really complain about anything. Another form of content where someone can take an interest and compete in it. I think that's great.
That's good.
It's a great way to reintroduce artifacts that people may have missed, violin especially, as far as the more useful ones. Like, I think this was a phenomenal decision that Smilegate made, 100%.
Okay. All right, pretty quick one there. Seems like most of us like it, which is good. I honestly agree with the fact that I like the changes there. The old one was really just each week I go in there, I slap auto, I don't even care what score I get, we're done. Okay, done my runs.
Go make yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then now it's like, if I have a bit of time, I can try getting a higher score. I'll probably get a little bit more stuff. For some people still might not care, which is fine, right? They don't need to care about it. But then for the people that do want to care about it, that want to get, the rankings or not, you have that available now for the people.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a simple one. 4th topic, probably also be pretty quick, but new arena gear set. Thoughts on that?
I mean, destruction set, we knew it was coming. Everyone be prepared. Watcher series are gonna hurt. Like, I think there are a few really, really good sets. One of the accessories and the helmet, I think, in particular.
Yeah, the helmet and the necklace were probably the 2 best ones I saw. And then after that, the next best one is probably the sword. But even then, the sword is missing. Everything else is missing crit damage, which I'll say for like a destruction is pretty important, unless you're running it on someone like, the sword you're running on CDOM, and you already hit max crit damage anyways, since you don't care about the crit chance, and you hit. Let's say you roll max attack on the sword. Great, then you can you have a high attack along with you have max crit damage somehow already. Then you can you probably make use of that way. But the other ones, like the chest piece, and what was it? Chest piece and I think chest piece and ring didn't look nearly as good to me, if I remember correctly. So.
Yeah. And I think just having a viable set is really important too. Just having something to complete. Like, if someone had really good event gear, like that ring, the candy, the Valentine's thing, or whatever it was. So, like, if you are a newer player and you need DPS gear because that's your farmer to progress, that's in everything. Having an easily accessible way, because you won't be able to do Hunt 11, to complete that set and get good DPS gear is great.
Yeah, maybe even for a new player wise, right? The set 100%, plus just maxing it to +15 will give you enough stats to get your characters to where you need them to be to progress in the game. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No, you're good, Jake. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I don't have much to say about it except it's good. I don't have much to say about that. Some of the pieces have speed in it. I've actually faced some Lilius who are like slower, but rocking destruction sets. That kind of stuff can hurt. Yeah, it can hurt quite a bit. So I think I might be looking into it, depending on how my gear rolls. I might be looking into that.
That's an interesting thought. I've seen some run like a speed build, but with like bruiser. So it's crit damage necklace, health rings, and like speed boots. So not super fast, but mid speed. But a destruction set is an interesting thought there. I didn't think about that.
I'll say one thing before my thought. Just on that Lilius note, I did just a rough calculation. If you have like a Gunther with like just say 6k attack and 350 crit damage, or even 300 crit damage Lilius with a portrait on, with an attack buff, of course, on the Gunther, she can do 24,000 damage on the S3 on anyone with about 1.1k defense. Anything higher, she can still do about 17k, like 1500 defense. So it's pretty crazy. So I actually got wiped in arena because of some Lilius like that. Yeah.
Dang, I've never seen. Okay, I've never seen that
big
before.
Pog.
Okay.
Big Pog. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's something. Well, if you're gonna, are you gonna build that, Jagan, or?
I actually want to, because I don't really use my Lilius a lot in terms of like how other people are using her. So I kind of feel like if I have her as a DPS, it might be a interesting pick for like RTA.
Can we see a video on that soon, Pog? You?
Yeah.
If I do get it, yes, for sure. It would be very cool.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Quick topic, Ark. Do you have anything to add on to that, or pretty much?
No, because knowing what your next topic is, I feel like a lot of this kind of like, I almost feel like there's like a gap bridger between these two that is more of a question. But you can go ahead and like intro that next part, because I just have a question. Again, I love being able to hang out with all of you guys that are significantly better, because you answer questions so well. It's so good, and it's helpful for all of us in the community a lot. So go ahead, and then I'll ask the question in a sec.
Okay. So last topic for today, at least, is kind of, I guess, one that has been thrown around a bit, but Hunts 12 and 13 discussion. What are your thoughts regarding this possible change?
So my main, I think the question that I have between those two with the gear and Hunt 12 and 13 is, and this is just like the gap, like the bridge to this gap, I guess, is, are we at a point right now in the game where if you're not a leaf pack buyer and you're not a person who's like regularly getting all the extra energy, and you're probably running low on gold to some degree if you're leveling up all your 85 gear and all this new 88 gear coming in, and like I feel like the person in the hot dog meme just getting slapped by 88 gear like all over the place. It's just ridiculous, like everywhere right now. And so my question, I guess, is it even worth, other than for gold? And I think this is where it gets tough, is because we all still need gold to upgrade the things, but it also feels like the gear itself is much more consistent to take the stuff that's handed to me by Smilegate than to actually be doing Wyvern 11 or Banshee 11, any of those other ones, at least for, let's say, cheaper to play players and or free to play players. Is this a season in the game where you're stockpiling until the next gold buff, and that's the only time you're ever in hunts other than for your dailies? Or do you even bother because of the potential like discrepancies that are now going to exist with 12 and 13 and having such a massive gap between that 85 gear and what's new? Where do you place that?
So talk about the first part of that question of like whether it's not worth it, whether or not it's worth it to farm at a consistent level. I think what you're saying or hinting at is exactly correct. Unfortunately, I think right now the game state is encouraging that heavily. You're right. Like most people I know personally, and from a competitive standpoint, we have two kinds of players. We have the smart free-to-play and the whales who would constantly farm auto every second of the day.
Who are also smart. We love you. Thanks for paying the bills.
Very true.
Keep going. No, sorry.
Keep going. But most of us that I know don't farm outside of hunt buffs, just because it's really easy with the new auto pet changes that they've made. It's just not as efficient to farm outside. Personally, I have to farm 24/7 nonstop, because if you check the world boss rankings, Namdolf is back.
Well, right. I mean, you don't want to fall down. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, he's a guildie of mine who was currently inactive, but he's back, and has very, very good gear. So I've just been
Robust
making
competition.
Yeah, so I've just been making random 100 KCP units. I made Gaither, I'm making ML Vin, I'm making ML Leo right now. It's a mess.
Part of me feels like there should probably be a gold tier for all of you guys that are doing this one too. Just because, my goodness, I can only imagine the gold you're going through. Just upgrading, whether it's crap pieces or not, just like whatever it takes to just keep your guys up. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's fun though. We like it.
For sure.
But I do think that, like, to sort of tie into Hunts 12 and 13, if they make it so that gear drops, like tier level 90 gear is dropped in Hunts 12 and 13, or if they start releasing tier 90 gear packs, I'm gonna have a bit of a problem with Smilegate on that one, admittedly. Because my biggest fear as someone who's invested a lot of time, money into this game, is that would make the last year and a half of playing and spending invalidated.
Yeah, good point.
That is a very core worry for me, because this is what happened in King's Raid, for example. I don't know how many people played that here, which I quit once they started power creeping. But from the dev note, they're making it sound like it's a droppable thing, like where you can only drop Reforge equipment, and that everyone's going to Reforge it. But we come to a time where you have two other divergent paths that you can look, gaze upon, and see which one you want to do. Where if it becomes really easy, and everyone's tier 85 gear in your account right now, all of a sudden, all of it becomes tier 90, then the question I have for Smilegate is, what's the point? What did you just do if, relative to everyone else, it's the exact same?
Yeah.
And then the other route, if it's really hard to do it, when are they going to do tier 100? When are they going to do tier X, Y, Z? Like, I don't want to have to refarm everything year after year, you know?
Or farming new materials to reforge year after year. Because the game's only, for a gacha game at least, the game's still relatively new. And the fact that, you know, we got tier 88, and then now that we're getting possibilities of tier 90s already with the reforge system, or we don't know what level, how it's going to work, then it's, I guess for me at least, I find it really fast the way it's progressed. Because tier 88s, at least with hell raids, you know, you get to that point, you upgrade one or two pieces, maybe you're not using them all. It's not like a huge upgrade. It's not like your whole list is tier 88 gears yet. But with the reforge, that also makes me wonder, is that going to invalidate or make hell raid not as necessary? Like, if it's tier 90 gear, if I'm upgrading my 85 gear to the same level, do I care as much about hell raid now? Why not just farm and reforge instead of doing hell raid? Because you might get better substats that way.
It's really interesting.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I think it's really interesting because I've thought for a while there's a level of dichotomy to the way that their marketing team works for this game and their actual developers a lot of the times, it seems like, because it's always been odd to me that they've got a system that's set up that's like we want to give only, like, we're not willing to put discounts on any packs. We're not willing to do anything that ever brings up any person that would ever pay anything into this except for a potential whale, or maybe every once in a while a dolphin, but most of the time whales that are going to pay for this stuff. And in those but the dichotomy being, those are where all of your packs are completely pushed towards those people. But on the other side, you're like, but I also still want to kind of keep my free-to-play players up to par. So why don't I just hit them with a little bit of 88 gear here and there? And so by doing this, I've sort of evened it out. But basically what I'm doing is slapping my whales directly in the face, because I wasn't willing to offer reduced price on anything. I wasn't willing to put out more things. I'm just curious, like, what do you guys think about that? Doesn't it feel like the marketing side of this is actually doing a complete 180 to what to basically what they're doing if they're trying to, like, sort of gear creep stuff? Like it feels like a dichotomy to me, but maybe I'm crazy.
I think
100%, I agree.
I think actually it doesn't. It's probably not as a dichotomy as you might be explaining. Of course, like this being a gacha game, they have to have ways to make money. And to be honest, when I'm doing like just account reviews in general, reviewing let's say like a mid-tier player or even an endgame player, but not a whale, you can see the differences in terms of like the only benefit a whale has is that they have more built heroes. So
For sure.
like when you're paying for it, you're really just speeding up the regular grind process, so to speak. Whereas like a free to play or a mid tier and they're maybe like a dolphin, they just can't grind enough. They just can't buy the gear pack. So they'll eventually get there with RNG, with the rules and the gear. They'll eventually get to like top quality builds. But the whales are just paying for that early on. So, in my opinion, if the level 90 gear becomes like as scary in terms of power creep as Tiber was saying, then in a sense, yeah, like you wasted all your money, you wasted all your resources, but whales will still do it just because they can get the best stuff.
But I think the question he was posing was, will they do it again? Like, if you do this, will I do it a second time? Because fool me once, but are you going to fool me twice? You know what I mean? Like,
will they stop at 90? Am I going to spend more money and get baited into farming for this new stuff only for next year after that? I'd be like, all right.
I think the biggest
Another
worry
5,000.
here that are on most people's minds, at least that I've heard, concerns-wise, is if it invalidates our old gear, that's the biggest worry, because that means our last year's work and money spent, progress, whatever, right? Time now becomes invalidated. So then we're restarting again, and you have to, spend more time, pay more money, whatnot, to try to like get the best gear you can again to gear up your units. Otherwise, you're gonna fall behind, kind of thing.
But yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I feel like that's already part of the game. Like we weren't at a like we all had like for those of us at least who have been playing like since the beginning of global release, assuming that people were playing on global, like we've had stages where like the 88s weren't a thing, right? We've had stages where like the 85s weren't that common, so people were still doing with like epic 70s and stuff like that. It's just part of the game to me, and it's just kind of like, speaking in real life terms, it's just like property taxes. They go up every year, but it's not like you're gonna be like, hey, last year it was like $1,000 cheaper, and then this year's like, it's like if you're gonna play the game, I would say that the only part that this would worry me is that if they like compress the timeline and they don't space it out, that would be the only time would be like, oh, red flag. But naturally, like the progression of the game and any gacha game is going to eventually do it. So I will say that potentially in the future, maybe after level 90 gear is like the norm, they are going to release those equipment packs. But by then, I don't think people would be so angry at it, since there's going to be like a natural progression, with the 88s on raid now, you can get them more often. That natural curve, I think people are just going to ease into it, in my opinion.
Okay, so I guess the way perspective wise, I can definitely see what you mean there. The thing is, my main worry is when I say invalidating the gear, let's say for where some of us are at, a very big portion of our whole team essentially is 85 gear plus 15. If I think about that, I have one character geared up with 6 pieces plus 15 decent gear. Guild Wars 6 characters plus 15 decent gear is 36 pieces of gear plus 15. Just imagining how much resources that's going to take to repower all of those up is, I feel like, a little bit of a worry there. Like, just thinking about resource wise, it's a lot compared to when tier 88, tier 70 gears came out. When it was tier 70s, getting tier 85s, I don't think it took nearly as long. It was a very quick progression once Wyver 11 came out and even then we had like 85s a bit here and there, so it's like a much shorter period of time. But now that we've farmed 85 gears for so long, we have such a large pool of 85 gears, maybe like for some people like a couple hundred pieces of plus 50, like maybe like not plus 15. Maybe I know some of the whales probably have at least 100 pieces of plus 15 gear maybe lying there. It's like, what happens to all of that old gear now? Like, how do you tackle that? Like, do you use as fodder, or do you is there a conversion system that they could put in? Like, I think that's my question there for Smilegate is the old gear compared to like T88s. You replace one gear, sure, you take away one gear. It was a slow progress of like changing that. But if tier 90s come out in a snap like that, then that's just your whole pool instantly. You have to change.
Right.
Right. And like people are comparing this with like in the very beginning with a natural progression of the game, like back when Hunt 11 didn't exist. But at that point in time, the game was so new and players were so new that how it felt was a bunch of people clearing Hunt 10 and getting the gear so that they could farm Hunt 11.
Right.
And it felt rather smooth as a transition. But with the time frame, it's been a full year. And like the worst feeling for even old whales is to suddenly say, like, if an old whale can spend, let's say, $5,000 on gear packs in 2018 to 2019, and then all of a sudden our standards change and we don't want to use, I will not use tier 85 gear once tier 90 comes out if I can avoid it. And if you can farm it fast enough. All the tier 85 is going to be useless. So then I'm then going to be forced to spend another 5,000 on the new stuff. Whereas a brand new day one whale can just spend the new $5,000 and get to the exact same point. Would feel incredibly frustrating to a lot of us, and that's one of our core fears. Whether or not they're going to monetize this in gear packs, which I would think would be a terrible decision by Smilegate. And it's just like, for those of us who have so many plus 15 tier 85 gears, like for example, I have a guildmate who has 146 stars, right? Like, if you have all of this gear, it becomes exponentially more difficult to reforge and reforge. So you're really putting this strain on the whale community. The old whales who don't want to whale anymore, who have paid to establish themselves and don't want to pay more, they might suffer. Completely free-to-play players, and we, like, a lot of my best players in the guild are, a lot of the free-to-play players will be frustrated because then they can't keep up. A lot of the casual players may not want to do all this because it's another resource to farm constantly. It's more content if you have to do Hunt 11 for the gear, then Hunt 12 and 13 for the reforge materials. I don't know. Like, it feels like we don't have much information right now, so it's too early to make a firm decision.
Right.
But like, I hope if Smilegate's listening to this, like, they understand how apprehensive a lot of us may be regarding this change.
Right. And this may be a bad analogy, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the analogy is we've gone through as a community, we've gone through like a 4.5 to 5 month dry spell prior to the last like month and a half or so of like actually having not just new content, but new gear and new everything. Like, yes, they put out characters. Yes, there were new events, but they were just repeats of like old events, nothing like crazy new. Finally, like, it's like they went from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. And I think that's where I would have fully agree with what Jagan's saying is like pacing. Boys, don't be an excited child. Smilegate, please. please don't be an excited child. Just like allow the pacing, like stop letting the community jerk you around and just go with your plan and pace it. Because if you don't, like, there's a degree of what Tiber's saying that I fully agree with. You can't, like, it's no good if new whales can come in and just immediately be best whales on money that was spent a while back. That's no good. There should be a level of, yes, a new whale can jump in, and yes, they can exist in this game. But if you're an old whale, you still have at least an advantage. There's an advantage. It might be small because you've had the time, but like there's some advantage to you being able, because you've spent longer, you've been here forever. Like, they can do it. They can pace it so that can feel good. It's just, I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I've been really excited about these patches for the last like month and a half. They've literally made me so excited. And so I understand that Smilegate is probably also sitting behind their desk going like, yes, we put something out and the community is pumped. This is so good. Okay, guys, that's good, but don't smear us with it. Otherwise, you're going to tick some people off and we're going to have ambition all over again. This isn't worth it. Do this intelligently. Pace this out. I loved what you had to say, Jake. I don't know if that was exactly kind of how you were saying it, but that's what you reminded me of. It's good.
Yep. No, you got it.
I think one of the things is when we're talking about pacing, it's like comparing it to what I said before. Rather than dropping the T90 gear or even reforging all at once, it's like, whereas with Hell Raids, the newer gear came at a slower pace. You would get one every little once in a while that could be good that you can upgrade. So, you have a very slow time to slowly upgrade the gear rather than having to replace everything at once, maybe. I don't know if like somehow that would be a little bit better that way. So, I mean, granted, we don't know enough about the reforging. We don't know how it's going to work, how difficult it is going to be to get these reforging materials, if that's what's going to happen. But
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just got to be smart with how they do it, and I
think if they're smart with it, this could be fine. It's just mainly. I think one of the biggest things I've liked about Smilegate recently is they're having their own Korean streams, global streams. They release the dev notes earlier before like this is what we're planning, and then they can hear all the community feedback first, whether it's from streamers, YouTube, Reddit, Stove, like that kind of stuff. They can see the feedback, and then they can make a choice from there, amend it. Some of it, I would say, can be amended before that. That way they can see the reactions of the community. So that's one of the things I like that they've been doing recently. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add on about that, or I guess
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll have a few minutes of open chat, if anything, if anyone has specific questions. But aside from that, I think, for these short topics, went on a little bit longer than I expected. It's still good.
Short, air quotes,
Sorry,
short.
this is always my fault. I'm almost
Sorry.
done.
Honestly, when I first put the topics up, I'm like, oh yeah, these are really quick, like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, actually, some of them we talked about a little bit longer than normal. But
No, I think it goes to show that at least like this panel, and of course Gabe, xSkyKing, you're good at like gathering people around. It shows that we're still passionate about the game. Therefore we could talk about it so much, and I think for the community, they're often like trying to go to the content creators, going to like the YouTubers, the streamers, and ask their opinion, because they also want to know what people think. And so I really appreciate that you formed these things, and that I was invited to this one. So just wanted to say thanks.
I'm glad all you guys took the time of your busy schedules to join me on this, because it's kind of funny. I messaged Tiber because I was like, oh, you free for a podcast? Usually he's the first one I message because his voice. His voice knowledge.
Gabe just wants me from my body. I feel
And then
terrible.
after he was free, I was like, oh yeah, I need to I'll figure out who to invite. And then it's like Wednesday. I'm like, oh shoot, I totally forgot about. I'm like, okay, yo, I gotta pull people together. Gotta find people who are cool, whatnot. And then I'm glad last minute you guys were willing to join me for this.
Yeah, man, thank you for inviting me. I love this stuff. I could chat especially with people that are better than me at the game. I like soak this stuff up. So please, I love it.
Hey, don't say that, dude. Hey, you're pretty good at the game now. Like you're really far in the game now, to be honest. Like
I'm getting better, but like I love hearing like, can I tell you this? Like my favorite thing about Epic 7 that I really just want them to do as a community, and I don't think they'll do it, but I really want to see it done. And if I have to do it myself, I might. I want to see competitive. Like my favorite part in this game right now is Guild Wars, and I want to see some legitimate prize pool, something Guild Wars stuff that will literally like fire up the community, get everybody crazy competitive. Like I want to see it so bad because you guys are so good at the like. I love numbers, guys. I love you, Tiber. This is so good. Like that kind of stuff is so helpful, and like it's because of you that we know things going on in here. And I'm sure chat's like, okay, kissing butt. No, dude, real talk. This is good. Like this is so good, and I love being able to hear it. So I'm grateful that you guys are even willing to like hear me and talk to me about it, because I love hearing what you guys have to say. It's so good. I mean, it makes such a huge impact on what's going on in this community. So
I'm curious
big shout out
about-
to all you guys.
One thing is, Jagan probably wasn't here for that, but Tiber, do you remember when we were talking about the
do.
guild drafts?
I do. So funny you should mention that, Arch. So our Discord is home to like a lot of members of a lot of the top 10, top 20 guilds. And one of the ideas that we had tossed around was, this is right before Vayne boomed.
Ambition. Yeah.
But we were talking about a fantasy draft for Guild Wars, where everyone in the top, because back then we had no idea about any rewards, but the idea of everyone leaving their guilds and remaking them on like a test server, if that was possible, if Smilegate let us,
Yeah.
and like do a fantasy style 20 guild wide round robin tournament style guild war.
That'd be
I
cool.
feel like that'd be so cool.
sick.
The thing is, like, coordinating that many people is so difficult though, but I feel that'd be so fun. Like, definitely not possible on the normal server, because you literally need every person to be willing to listen and join in on this for that to happen, because you need, except for the sole leaders in the guilds, you have to have everyone leave, and then on Saturday leave, and Sunday or Saturday draft, and then Sunday join for the guilds. But I don't, like, if we could ever get a test server, that's one of the first things I'd want to do, is like some sort of like Guild Wars fantasy draft, and just like, yeah,
That would be so much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun.
So
it would be so cool to see. But I think that's a lot further down the road. A lot of like things have to go into consideration there. But
For sure. For sure.
yeah. All right. Let me see. One question here, real quick. Let's go. For higher tier Guild Wars, how do you feel about something along the KC Guild Wars where it's one battle per hero? Knights Chronicles Guild Wars, one battle per hero. Also, like if you use you use one character and they can't be used again. Do we have enough characters for that? I don't. Really
I think our pool is a bit smaller.
Yeah, our pool-
I
I
saw
feel like
Clack mentioned that Guild Siege content in Summoner's War. That was content where you had 30 swords, so to speak,
Yeah.
and typically that would be 10 teams of 3, and whether or not the unit dies, you cannot reuse that unit. So there was a big emphasis on leveling up dupes.
I think our pool is way too small. It's different because, like, in Summoner's War, once a new character comes out, they have 5 of those characters. So their pool increases so fast. But Epic 7 is like each unique character, which is why I like the game, is just one character each. So I guess I don't
One
think
more
it's
reason not to power creep too early. We're just
Yeah.
now finally having expanded rosters. Stop. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
like I just want to
That's
use
a bit
these
early.
characters, please. Let them be usable.
Yeah, it's way too early for that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think it's gone pretty well, and I'll end the podcast here. Thank you guys for joining me. Art, Tiber, Jagan. Appreciate all of you guys there, and good luck with your summons, Jagan, and
Oh,
whoever
man.
you're summoning
luck.
for. Yeah.
GPL.
I hope. I hope
And
you
an
get some good
A-Lots.
luck
Come
there.
on, baby. Let's go.
How far out are you, Jagan?
I'm 73 away from pity. Started from 200. Eight merciless gluttons, 0 oxlots, 0 haste, which I don't have either, and of course no MO Charlotte yet.
Oh my
That's some shit.
gosh.
Oh my.
Yeah,
That.
That
it hurts. It hurts.
that hurts. Dang.
F's in chat. F's in everyone.
That's a big F. Yeah, that's it. All right, Jagan. If it wasn't for this situation, you know,
We're starting to GoFundMe, dude. Holy smoke.
I'd be like,
People
yo,
have
let's,
done that.
let's grab bubble tea and you know, we'll get it packed for you or something. Like, dang, man, that's. All right,
That's brutal.
I hope you have some good luck on, you know, during the next week or so when you're saving for those mystics.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's a harsh one. Like, not even getting an oxlots out of that.
I'll give you it's just before like you guys sign off but the context of that is before that I saved 170 or so moonlight bookmarks. I was just gonna batch use them. I was thinking, okay, I'll use them all. If I got ML Charlotte early, I don't even need to pull the mystics, right? That's the idea behind it. So I pulled them all. I got one 5-star ML It was a dupe, sage ball all in Cezanne, man. Extra slap in the face. I was like,
I'm sorry, man.
yeah.
Okay,
He's a cool character, but
Level
yeah,
5.
second one is never cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all right. You know what? I take that back. I hope you have much more luck than normal during your
Please.
next. Oh
Please
God.
smile at gods if you're listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, I
Intern
know you
Kun.
can do something about this.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
Thanks.
thank you guys for joining me on the podcast.
Mhm.
I'll see you guys in the future.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
All right, so that was it for this podcast. Thank you guys for watching that, listening to it. Definitely, for sure, you know, the reason for this podcast is like we want to speak our opinions on it, but your opinions matter as well. So definitely leave it in the comment section below. And you know, in the future, if we do have more of these, you guys will be sure to see it. At least I'll be sure to upload it. So I'm gonna end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.